Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to my tutorial on how to create an activity diagram to illustrate a use case scenario. We're doing this with Visio 2016. So let's get that fired up. All right, we're working on Windows 10 right now. So I'm going to fire up a Visio 2016. And let's go up here and we're in choosing our template. Let's go to categories. Okay. And then down to the next to last one, software and database. Okay. And down here in the second row, UML activity. That's what we want. And I'm in the US, so I use US units. Click on create. And here we have our diagrammer. Okay, pretty good. Okay, it hasn't changed a whole lot since Visio 2013, which is good, I guess. Um, so there are a lot of things that you can use an activity diagram for. Essentially, you can show system-oriented logic. Okay, you could use it to you could use it as a systems analyst to document the flow of work and activity in a business organization in a particular business process. Um, in a larger scale, on a larger scale than identifying a particular use case for a system. Um, you could use it on a small scale. You could use it for showing almost programming logic, although these days people using object-oriented programming languages tend to favor sequence diagrams for that. And right in the sweet spot is what we're going to use it for, which is we're going to use it to illustrate one scenario for a use case. Okay, so what's the use case that we're going to be doing? Well, this is a classic example that's used a lot. It's a banking system. In fact, it's for an ATM machine. And the ATM can do deposits, withdrawals, and check balance. Okay. And so the use case that we're going to do is the withdrawal. Okay. And the scenario is going to be a little bit more complicated than the basic scenario because this is going to be an interaction between the basic scenario and one of the alternative flows. The basic flow and one of the alternative flows. This is where we try to make a withdrawal, but we have insufficient funds. Okay, so we want to show that and we want to illustrate the whole scenario. So that's going to give us the opportunity to show some branch merge logic, which I like to do. Okay, so let's begin by starting to draw our overall diagram. So down here in the lower left, over in the palette area, you can see here are the symbols. There's one called swim lane, and of course we're going to want swim lanes. We always have a swim lane in this kind of activity diagram. So in fact, this particular um, this particular scenario has three swim lanes. It's got one for the customer, it's got one for system, and then it's got one for main banking system. Okay, so let's pull 3 of these swim lanes out and configure them. And we want them to be about equal. Okay. Now, maybe there's a way to get them exactly equal. I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I'm going to be good at. But about equal, well, I'm pretty good at that. So swim lane 1's a little big. Let's try it a little bit like that. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we need a title for this. And let's zoom in. It's easier to see when we zoom in. So we're going to zoom in a bit. Maybe that was too much. Okay, zoom in. We're going to use the bars to get up to where we need to go. So we want to be, okay, on the top left. So the title is just going to be the name of the scenario. Okay. And I'm just going to call this withdraw cash with insufficient funds. Okay? So this would be the name of a key scenario that you would identify for your use case. Okay? All right, that looks good. And for some reason, all of a sudden, I've got 4 functions. So I'm not liking that. So let's highlight 1 and delete it. Okay, now we're back to 3. That's looking better. Okay, and then, of course, we want to put, typically, if you have 2 swim lanes on this kind of activity diagram, you want the system on the right and the actor on the left. Okay, if you have 3, you typically want to put maybe the most interesting actor on the left, the system in the middle, and a less interesting actor on the right. Okay, so actor on the left is going to be customer. All right. System is always in this kind of activity diagram. And on the right, let's call this main banking system. Okay. All right. So we're going to withdraw cash. Okay. So how much of the work are we going to show in this particular use case? For instance, are we going to show the customer choosing, are we going to show the customer beginning to interact with the machine, putting their card in, putting in their PIN, all that kind of stuff? Probably not. Why? Well, because that's a prior use case. It's not log into system. It's, well, I guess we could call it log into system. We typically don't. We call it signing in or something like that. Okay, that's fine. All right. Are we going to show the decision about whether we're going to withdraw cash or check balance, or are we going to we're going to show all that? Well, no, because this is only about withdrawing cash. So what are we going to do? Well, I like it where we just say that the customer signals that they want to withdraw cash. Okay, so let's take this initial node. That's what they're calling the start in this case. Try to get it in the center. Okay. Let's take this action node, pull that down. Okay. So let's just say signals it signals now let's just say asks to withdraw cash. That seems pretty conversational, right? Okay. Okay, so do we know what account this is coming from? No, probably not. Okay, so let's have the system double click on that. Prompts for choice of account. Maybe it's just checking or saving. Okay. All right. That looks good. Well, then the customer is going to choose an account, right? That looks good. So that goes. Chooses account. Okay. What's the system going to do? Well, probably prompt for the withdrawal amount. Okay. Let's say use the same let's say prompts for amount. Okay, that looks good, like that. All right, so now we want the amount, and you know what, we're still probably in the basic scenario, the basic flow. So this is the part of the scenario that's in the basic flow. Okay, looks good. Prompts for the amount. Action. Now, are we going to say exactly how they choose the account? Are we going to say exactly how they ask to withdraw cash? Are we going to say exactly how they enter the amount? No, we're probably not. Okay. And the reason I'm not going to do it is I want to leave the person who does the design after I do the analysis. I'm going to leave them to choose the particulars of the user interface that that suit their design. Okay. I'm just going to really here I'm scripting kind of the flow of the action in the user in the transaction, which is going to be implemented in the user interface. But could this be done on a various kinds of devices and stuff? Sure, it could. And that's basically what we're trying to do with use cases. That's how we're trying to write them when we're doing use case specifications. So it's the same kind of stuff in the activity diagram. I also want to point out that this would match kind of sentence for sentence. Each of the sentences that we have in the use case specification would match to the activity boxes. So prompts for amount, double click, enters amount. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, what does the system do? Well, this ATM system doesn't actually do the banking itself. No, it doesn't. So what does it do? Well, it contacts the main banking system. So the next thing that's going to happen is that this system is going to try to send a withdrawal to the main banking system. Okay. Okay. So request withdrawal from main banking. Well, we're going to say from main banking system. We're actually going to say who it's going to do it with. Yeah, I think we are. Main banking system. For this account and amount. Okay? How's that look? Looks pretty good. Okay. So what's going to happen here? Well, the main banking system is going to send us an answer back. Okay, they're either going to send us a confirmed transaction back, or they're going to send us back a refusal. Okay, how's this going to work? Now, I just want to point out, here we are at the bottom of the diagram. How are we going to handle this? Well, it turns out you can pull these. So let's keep pulling. And one of the things you'll see there's a dashed line right here. This is just showing that this form is going to go farther than the first page. Okay? So it'll keep track of the pagination. We probably don't want to have a symbol over top of the page break, but other than that, we'll do okay. So we requested withdrawal from the main banking system. Okay. Okay. Do we have to show the logic for the main banking system? No. No, we don't. Because the main banking system is sort of a black box to us. So here, I'm going to put this at the top of the next page, just for the heck of it. All right. So the main banking system determine executes withdrawal or sends insufficient funds error response. Oh. So let's say it confirms withdrawal or okay, so at this point we're either going to withdraw or we're going to come back and say we've got insufficient funds. I know other things can happen, but that's all we're going to pretend. Or confirms withdrawal or signals insufficient funds. Okay. Funks? No. Funds. Not funks. Funds. Okay. All right. I've got that. So we confirms the withdrawal, or it signals and let's get the English the same, signals. That's how we're going to talk about these guys. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the system, and this system is going to tell us what we have. Okay. So what's going to happen now? Well, let's say we're going to come over here. Now, depending upon what happens, one of two things are going to go on. Okay. So do we want an action? No, I don't think we do. We want a decision. Okay. So let's put this over here. All right. Now I usually put things on the left. So we've got sufficient funds or insufficient funds. Okay. So if we have sufficient funds, we're going to dispense cash, and we're going to dispense receipt. Okay. If we have insufficient funds, then we're going to dispense some kind of advice that says there are insufficient funds. Okay, that's it. We're not going to give them another chance at a transaction. This is just going to be kind of easy going. Okay, so action. So here we've got sufficient funds. We're going to dispense cash. Right? We're going to print receipt. Double click to write in it. Print receipt. Okay. Okay. Now, what if we have insufficient funds? Well, we need some more room here. So let's pull these guys down a little bit more. They don't seem to want to pull. Will they? Nope. Well, maybe they will. No, that wants to move the whole thing. I don't want to move the whole thing. All right. Let's see what I can do here. There we go. That one wants to move. So bring that down to about there. All right. So we're printing the receipt. We have an arrow on here we don't want. Let's get rid of that guy. All right. Okay. So here we're going to dispense the cash, print the receipt. Okay. Otherwise, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to put dispense the cash and print the receipt right underneath it. Okay, print the receipt. And okay, dispense cash, print receipt. Let's move that guy over even with them. And what's the other one? Print advice of refusal. Okay. That's where we say, oh, we refuse your transaction for insufficient funds. All right. That looks good. This looks good. All right. And then we're going to have to meet up again. So we need a merge node. And then we're going to end. And you might say, oh, isn't the customer supposed to do something? Well, the customer has some activity, but the transaction's really over. Okay. Okay, we could, well, let's show the customer doing one more thing. I think we can. So get rid of that with the delete. Okay, so let's show the customer taking their stuff, right? And then we'll show the end. How's that? I bet you're happier with that. Okay, so let's connect up all these things with flow lines. Now, typically, stylistically, I probably wouldn't want things to be so crowded on page 2 and so uncrowded on page 1, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Now, you'll notice that there's no line for connecting things over in the palette, unlike with a lot of diagrams. The line we're connecting up with is up in the toolbar. It's the connector line. So we go up and click on connector, and then we're going to click on the connection point. You see these little dots? Okay, so I'm going to click the connection point on the bottom. I'm going to pull it, and well, I kind of like it sometimes when it goes to the side. So I pulled it to the connection point on the side. Now I don't have to load it up again. If I'm going to go from the bottom to the side of the next one and click off of that. I'm going to go from the bottom to the side of that one and click off of that from the bottom to the side of that one. This I think has a nice kind of style. And from the bottom to the side of this one. Okay. And here go from the bottom to the side of that one there. Okay. And here I think I want to go from the bottom here. It's always nice to come in to the top of a branch. Okay, so I want to come into the top of the branch just because that's good style. Okay, and this is the good case. So let's go straight down from the bottom to the top. Then the second action from the bottom to the top. Okay, now where's the alternate case? Well, let's go from a side to the top of that action. Okay, that works fine. Now we have to get from these, we have to get to this merge. Okay, now merge, we can come in from the sides, that's fine. So here I'm going to come to the bottom, go into the side, and here I'm going to come from the bottom and maybe go into the side. Then I can pull this guy over in the middle, maybe. Okay, let's click on him. Okay, if I click on him, I think I can edge him to the right with the arrow key. Yeah, the right arrow key is nice. Yeah, right in the middle there. Okay, that's good. And then let's go back and click on the connector tool. Maybe I didn't have to do that, but I want to be sure. And draw from the bottom to the side of this guy. And then draw from the bottom to the termination symbol. And I don't have any text in this last one, so let me double click on that guy. Print advice or refusal, and take cash or take cash or printed material. Okay, that's going to cover all the things that we do. Printed refusal or the receipt, there'll be printed material. That's general enough. Let's click off of that. All right, so there we are. So again, let's just go through how we did this. Oh, we don't have a flow from the start to the first activity. That's a problem. Get that in there. All right, that looks good. All right, so we've got three swim lanes. Always one for the system when we're doing a use case scenario, and then with at least one swim lane for at least the single actor, and if there's more than one actor, then we have one for each of the actors that's involved in this scenario. Okay, we begin with this initial node, as I call it in the palette over here to the left. And then we go from activity to activity, typical tennis match, kind of back and forth. Okay. We come down here, and all of a sudden, instead of going back and forth with the customer, we're going to go back and forth with the main banking system. We have one back and forth with that. Then we have a branch merge to take care of some conditional logic. Okay, haven't labeled those yet. Oh, we need our guard conditions. Okay, so dispense cache. Let's double click on that arrow, on that flow arrow that goes to that. We get a label point. Remember, guard conditions always go in square brackets. So square brackets, and then in the middle, let's just say sufficient funds. Okay, and let's go on the other one, and let's say insufficient funds. So insufficient, and if I want to come down to the next line, I can usually do an enter funds. Okay, so you usually get some control over the over how that works, and that seems to be working okay. Insufficient funds. All right, so let's check through this. So we come into the branch. We've got two outflows. They each have their insufficient funds doesn't have the square brackets on it. Naughty me. So go back to the beginning of it. Square bracket to start. Go to the end of it. Square bracket to finish. Okay, now it is a proper guard condition, and I didn't use capitalization on the first one, so I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger. On sufficient funds, I used all lowercase, and here I just want to be consistent. So here I'm gonna go back to all lowercase, just because I think it looks better. Okay. Generally speaking, you're going to do better in terms of controlling these diagram objects the more zoomed in you are. Of course, you're going to lose your perspective, but if you come down here to the lower right and control the zooming, you can see a lot. You can see better, and you tend to get finer grained control over the objects. So that's a good thing to do for this diagrammer. And really all the diagrams we do with Visio 2016, this seems to be true. So this is it. That's our diagram. So how do we save it? Well, we go up to the menu, click on File, Save As. Okay. And here I'm just going to put it in my documents. And I have something for activity diagram. And right now I have to save the Visio drawing. Okay. So I'm going to call this the way I normally label the solutions to our skills practice. I use my last name, Trainer, then my first name, Kevin, then skills practice activity diagram. All right, so that's what I usually call it because it's got a proper name to hand in and to be graded. And then of course I saved it that way, and now I'm going to want to save a PDF. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to click again on File, Save As. Okay, go back to the current folder. That looks good, except the Save As type. Let's just pick type PDF. Down here. Save. And it should open up the PDF for us. So for some reason I've got some blank stuff ahead of my first part of the diagram, and why exactly it does that I'm not sure. But this is, I think, sufficient for my class. Maybe if I were handing it off to a user, I might want to be a little more careful. Let's see if we can fix that. Actually, let's be nicer. I think we accidentally pulled this down somehow, didn't we? Yeah, that's what we did. We accidentally pulled this down. So let's come over to the top let's pretend that handing it in for my class, you want to be as nice to me as you would be to your typical user. Okay, so we're going to pull this up and pull it up again. Okay, and it looks like we want it to be up by this 0 part. Okay, right there. And let's pull this out to the right a little bit. Looks like this. No, we don't want to pull that. That's fine, top to bottom. So how does this go? Goes down into the second page. Yeah, I think we're fine. Yeah, when we tried to pull down that second part, we got into trouble. So I think we're good now. So click File. I'm clicking on the wrong menu. File, Save. Okay, and that's going to save the Visio file again. And now let's say File, Save As, and come back to the current folder. And again, we need to pick the PDF extension. We're going to say Save, and it's going to ask us if we want to replace that one we had. Yes, we do. And now it's acting badly. I think maybe because we never closed that. So let's try it again. Let's just go and open. Let's go open our File Explorer and see if possibly we were looking at the last version of the diagram. Activity diagram, PDF. No, it's still broken. My. Isn't that disappointing? So close that. Come back one more time. Open this. Okay, so my diagram itself looks good. Oh, no, it doesn't. I don't know why I'm not up here yet. Okay, keep pulling. Pull it to right there. Some days, it just takes longer than you think. Now this is interesting. It's kind of saying that it'll all fit pretty much on 2 pages. That's good. That's all right. So let's find a way to shorten this up and get onto 2 pages. So how would we do that? Well, pull that up a little bit. Hang on. Pull, oh, we have to go up to the toolbar, click on the pointer tool. That's that. Now we're going to be able to drag stuff around a little bit and move that up a little bit. Yeah. And then move these up a little bit. And I think we're okay. All right. Well, it's always the last thing you try. These diagrammers can be, that looks okay at the top. We've got a lot of space in the middle that probably we didn't need, but we're okay. And what's interesting here is that it's changed the logic. How about that? So let's see what we've got here. So we wanted to print advice refusal. So we don't want this thing. I don't know where that came from. And we don't want this thing. Don't know where that came from. This little arrow coming in looks pretty sick. Get rid of that. We didn't ask for that. So you're seeing a lot of bad behavior on the part of the diagrammer. So now I think we're okay. So at least you know that it's not the case that this thing behaves perfectly fine for me and not so well for you. I'm going to save the Visio diagram file, and now I want to save as a PDF, same directory, PDF. At least you're not thinking that it only acts up for you. It acts up on me too. So let's replace it. Yes. And let's see. And now that starts at the top. That's nice. And we pull down. We've got that back and forth that we like. Come down. Oh, looks pretty much like what we want. Okay? So, you're ready to do yours. And hopefully you use the same kinds of considerations that I did when I did mine. Good luck to you. I'll say bye until next time. Bye-bye.